Hi. Last time we discussed about the reason why you should come to the United States. Today we will discuss about the other sides of moving to the United States. The topic is think twice before coming to the United States. Think twice before moving to the United States. What are the cons? The disadvantages of coming or moving to the United States. Number one is the irreligiosity, the state of not being religious. If you are very conscious and religious about your faith in your home country, moving to America may dilute some of the ideologies you once upheld, or some normalcy may be irreligious or sinful according to your belief. It may be difficult religiously and culturally surviving in such a country where, for instance, same-sex marriage, DNR, and interest are norms. For instance, in Islamic religion, it is sinful to engage in usury or paying and accepting interest on money. How can you survive in America without paying interest for your mortgage, for your car loan, for your student loan? So you are going to experience a lot of culture shocks, some of which are deemed immoral or sinful according to your religious belief. And you should learn to mind your business. Don't confront people in your workplace or on the streets trying to preach to them about their behaviors that are normal and legal for them, but abnormal for you and your religion. That is intrusion. So think twice before moving to the United States if this will affect your belief. Second reason is racism. Racism has always been and still is a great problem in America. Racism here may be direct or indirect, obvious or hidden. For instance, only a particular set of people can get some certain jobs. So it may be challenging and difficult getting a particular job if you don't belong to a class. The third reason is the accent. At first, accent may be a major challenge for new immigrants. They don't understand your English and you don't understand their English because of the way we pronounce words and how fast they or we speak. You don't have to stress yourself trying to convince them or to speak like Americans. You don't need that. It will come naturally if it will. In fact, the Caucasians are in love with our African accents. You will often hear them say, "I love your accent. Where are you from?" So our accent is our identity. The fourth challenge is the immigrant complex. What is immigrant complex? Immigrant complex is a feeling of being inferior to the local population, which affects your self-esteem, your performance, and even health. The complex develops against the background of comparing yourself with the environment. For instance, saying that you are from Ghana and the level of infrastructure in Ghana is not as the level of infrastructure in the United States, and because of that you feel so low of yourself. Or when people ask about where you are from, you deny your origin. Instead of saying you're from Nigeria or you're from Ghana, you are saying you're from South Africa or you're from another country. So this immigrant complex makes you feel low because of comparing yourself with the standards of the American. Another instance of this is your accent, because you don't speak like Americans, you don't speak like Europeans, so you feel so low because your accent is so thick. No, this is what we call immigrant complex. You should be proud of your origin. You should be proud of your ancestry. You should be proud of where you where you have from. So another instance is maybe when you come to the United States, you see your African people who have been here for some time buying houses, buying luxury cars, living large, and because you are still new, you are feeling so low because you are not living to the expectation, So this is also called immigrant complex. The fifth reason is the gun violence. I know that many people don't want to come to America because of that issue. More Americans died of gun-related injuries in 2021 than in any other year on record, according to CDC. That included record numbers of both gun murders and gun suicides. Nationally, 375 people die by guns in an average year, a rate of 13.0 deaths per 100,000 people. So if you are moving to America, check the crime and safety rates of the neighborhood you are moving to. Your safety matters. And don't be afraid when you see people moving with guns. Most of these guns are bought for protection. But, anything could happen. So your safety really matters. The sixth reason why you have to think twice before moving to America is the high cost of living in the US. America is very expensive and costly. Living in the city may drain you financially if your income is not commensurate with your standard of living. The huge financial impact is on the house rent and medical bills. Healthcare is super expensive. Nobody prays to get sick here, even with your health insurance. Now you wonder why some people visit Africa, like Nigeria, Ghana, and India, to receive surgical services because they can easily afford them outside America. The cost of buying house surges as well. The cost of buying house surges as well. A 2-bedroom apartment house of $200,000 or more may buy you a mansion in African country. May buy you a mansion in African countries such as Nigeria in a prestigious location. So it is expensive, and you may need more than 1 or 2 jobs to survive, especially if you are receiving minimum wage of $7 per hour. The seventh reason why you should think twice before moving to America is because the university education is super expensive. You wonder why some people don't further more in their academics or education. College or university education is super costly. You need student loans to be able to attend schools. If you are not lucky to get full scholarship, these student loans are with interest. Imagine graduating and busy paying student loans for years. The price tag of higher education at colleges and universities is forcing students to drown themselves in debt before they even start their first job. If you are planning on pursuing education in the US or moving there with your children, this is a disadvantage of living in the US that you need to think about. The eighth reason is the tipping culture that is prevalent in the US. Tipping culture is very common when you go to restaurants, to buy food. So while eating out in a restaurant might seem not too expensive at first glance, people are still expected to add roughly 20% tip to the total amount. It is great that hard work is appreciated with a nice tip. Employers here underpay their workers structurally, and the consumer is supposed to make up for it. The ninth reason is the unhealthy diet that is very, very prevalent in America. Majority of eat-out foods are high in sugar, salt, and high cholesterol fat. You imagine your slim friend back home now suddenly appears fat. It is the food here. And consuming these unhealthy foods can increase the rates of diabetes, hypertension, heart attack, and stroke, especially if the person has the risk factors. That is why these conditions are common in America and other Western countries due to the unhealthy foods and junks, because they are very cheap. They are very, very cheap. Another reason why you have to think twice before moving to America is the transport problem. Transportation. Transportation is a great problem in the US, in the United States. If you don't have a car, you don't have a personal car, moving around will be very, very challenging and difficult. And you will spend your hard-earned money taking taxis or using Ubers, or getting late to work at times. Not having a credit history may hinder you from getting a car of your own. So think about this before moving to the United States. The 11th reason why you have to think twice, and I want us to listen to this: divorce, single parents, difficulties finding a spouse, and loneliness. Loneliness. Divorce rate is on the rise in America. Imagine a couple who have been living in Africa happily for many years get separated or divorced after a year or few years of coming to America due to social and economic changes and influence. As a matter of fact, it is hard getting a spouse here in America. Very, very hard. Many dating apps out there are filled with scammers, and some who may have interest in you have interest because of your work or economic status. For instance, a guy may have interest in you because you are a nurse, because you are a medical doctor, because you are working in IT, because you are getting good pay. And a woman or a lady may have interest in you because you have a house, because the house is yours, you bought the house, or you are riding a nice car. So that indicates that you are earning well. So, and many would have scammed you before you realize in this country. Yeah. So if you are moving to America, I will advise you to get married before moving here if you don't want to be single for a long time or bored with loneliness. Responsible spouses are scarce everywhere. It is not easy being a single parent, being a single mother in this country. Being a single parent in this country is physically and emotionally stressful and financially exhausting. And there's no family support system here. You are your own. Except if you live in a state where there is a colony of tribes. For instance, Texas, Maryland, and Georgia have colonies of Nigerians and Ghanaians. You can decide to stay there if you are looking for support system. These are good states, to reside in. Thank you so much for your time. See you next time.